Welcome back to Secrets of the Vault. Today we'll continue our detour away from the vault and instead look at a collection of LEGO sets on shelves outside the vault. We've got a lot to inventory today, so let's get started. On the top shelf, we start with the Droid Escape Pod. There's been at least 2 or 3 versions of this. I've actually seen this in a previous video. This is another copy of the Tanker Truck Takedown from the Captain America Civil War movie. This set is a promotional set that was available last year from LEGO. They have a similar promotion running right now, I believe, for the first couple weeks of November. This is the original Gungan subset. This was actually updated several years ago. This is the King's Castle. Now, when the Castle series started, it started with only 3 sets, originally available in Europe, I believe in 1978, and then released in the US in 1981. And then Castle came back with a lot more sets, starting in 1984, which is when this set was released. This is kind of an iconic castle. It's a completely enclosed fortress. And you can see it, the old style boxes where you can open them up and view the parts inside. Lots of the classic castle wall pieces, with the rest of it being bricks. It's a great set, great series of castle sets. And next we have Jabba's Palace. This is actually the second version of Jabba's Palace. And this actually goes with another Return of the Jedi set that we'll see a couple shelves down. Continuing on to the next shelf, this is the AT-AP Walker from Episode 3. The smallest of the Avengers Age of Ultron sets. This is the Beach Hut. It's a creator set, and like many of them, includes instructions for building 3 different models. This is the Batboat Harbor Pursuit, most notable for including the Deathstroke figure, formerly known as the Terminator. I have 2 copies of the Hulkbuster Smash. So this is Iron Man in his Hulkbuster costume facing off against the Hulk. This is also from the Avengers Age of Ultron. Great scene in the movie and really interesting looking set. This scene should look familiar from The Force Awakens. This is also from Captain America Civil War. It features the Black Panther, as well as the Winter Soldier, and of course Captain America. And from the same movie we have Black Widow, Falcon, and Crossbones. The Star Wars set is from Episode 1, the Flash Speeder. This is actually the second version that they've released of this vehicle. This is also Jabba's Palace. This is the first version of Jabba's Palace, and as you can see, it's much smaller, and most notable, Jabba the Hutt himself is far less detailed than he was in the later version. You can see the difference. This is the classic ship, the Imperial Shuttle. This is the first version of the shuttle. TIE Interceptor. This is the first Sith Infiltrator. This is Darth Maul's ship. I haven't built anything from The Force Awakens yet, but this is the First Order transporter, and this vehicle really caught my eye. Probably because it's one of the more unique vehicles in the movie, with so many of the other ones, you know, like the X-Wing fighters and TIE fighters, looking similar to what we'd seen in the previous Star Wars movies. But this appeared to be all new, and really looks to be an interesting set, and I'm looking forward to building it. And down here on the next shelf, we'll start with another Sith Infiltrator. Again, Darth Maul's ship. You can see this is a lot sleeker ship than the previous version. The other one was almost entirely built of bricks and plates, and this has lots of curved slopes. This is the First Order Special Forces TIE Fighter. And what's interesting about that is we can make a comparison with the very first TIE Fighter model. You see this, the first one came with 169 pieces, and with the most recent TIE Fighter it's up to 537 pieces. So we're looking at, you know, roughly 3 times the number of pieces and roughly 3 times the cost as well. This is Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter. The Mos Eisley Cantina. It's the first version of the Cantina. Kind of a small playset here, but it also comes with the land speeder and the dewback. So it's really a nice assortment of elements from that scene. This is the TIE Bomber, and the style of construction is very similar to the original TIE Fighter and the TIE Interceptor that we saw earlier. This is the X-Wing Fighter. I believe this is the second version of the X-Wing Fighter. It also includes Yoda's hut. A Y-Wing Fighter. I think it was in the first video that we saw a more modern version of it. This was probably the second version of the Y-Wing Fighter. This is the Rancor Pit from Return of the Jedi, and features the Rancor monster. And this actually works with the larger Jabba's Palace. You can combine the two playsets together. This is from Episode 3, The Ultimate Space Battle. It actually includes both Anakin's and Obi-Wan's ships, as well as a number of the enemy ships that they were fighting against. Kind of a rare set, actually. This is the Ultimate Lightsaber Duel. This is from Episode 3. What's notable here is that they actually have figures with light-up lightsabers. One of them doesn't work, but surprisingly, Anakin's lightsaber still lights up. It's kind of a cool feature. Unfortunately, there's no way to replace the batteries on these. Another set from Episode 3, the Wookiee Attack. Here's one I think I wish I hadn't bought, Quest Against Time. The Prince of Persia sets just really weren't popular, and even at a discount, I'm not sure this is a great purchase. I actually have 2 copies of these. I've tried to sell it online, tried to sell it at a garage sale, and frankly, there's just not a lot of interest in it. It's a Technic sub. Notable here is that it actually came with a CD. Interesting construction. And finally, on the bottom shelf, Here's the Winter Holiday Train. We saw the Winter Village train station in a previous video. Here's the train that was released last year. Behind that, it's a little dark, this is the King's Castle Siege. In this series of castle sets, they started having more of the fantasy elements, so lots of skeletons and dragons. Later they had some, I think there were orcs and goblins and dwarves, kind of, foreshadowing some of the elements that would appear later in the Lord of the Rings sets. Behind that is an Imperial Star Destroyer. That's the original version of this set. They've released one several years ago that updated it. And then finally a couple of pirate-themed sets. This is one of the ships from the Imperial Armada series. You'll notice the original price was $50, and it was eventually on clearance for $11.90. That was a great deal, and in retrospect would have been great to have bought them all up. And finally, the Enchanted Island. This is one of the Islanders series. I haven't built this one yet, but it looks like it's got lots of great elements in it. And I'm sure I'll get around to building it someday. Well, I think that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. And as always, I'll update my brick set inventory after posting this.